this mayor have the guts to give migrants $51 million?
They will start injecting my child with cross-sex hormones.
The bill is passed.
Debt ceiling talks finally go through in the House. Chicago has a meltdown over the migrants, but where do they think the money should go instead? Twitter says no to What Is a Woman releasing for free, and happy Pride Month, everyone. We'll talk about that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Call It Live. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in. Daily Call It Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go!
Might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
Ooh, I from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Call It Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is June 1st, year of our Lord 2023, Thursday. Yes, it is the first day of Pride Month. There is an entire month of this, but I will say I feel like things are starting to turn. Remember how Black Friday was like just a huge, it was a normal thing, and then it just went crazy, and now it's kind of like, yeah, Black Friday, whatever. I kind of feel like that's how Pride Month is going to be, but we'll talk about Alette and a little bit more in a second. I want to get to this first. We'll talk about the debt ceiling stuff. There's some Twitter, What Is a Woman? They were planning to release that today and hit some hiccups, and it's interesting why. But I wanted to get to this first. People in Chicago. Oh, no. Did I do the wrong one? That's not it. Here we go. Now we are. Chicago residents are not happy with all of the illegal immigrants that were bused to their city and living on their streets. The city council decided that they were going to do a couple things, and the city residents did not like it one bit. In case you missed this for some reason, the Texas governor, he's the one doing it now because Arizona's not doing it anymore because it's a Democrat governor there, and then New Mexico's just crazy in La La Land. But Greg Abbott, the Texas governor, is busing people to various cities that claim that they are, quote unquote, sanctuary cities. What that means, if you're unfamiliar with that term, is that they don't cooperate with federal immigration agencies like ICE or like CBP or any of those agencies. And so Greg Abbott is making them put their money where their mouth is and house all of these illegal immigrants. Chicago is not having it in a lot of ways. The residents are laying into the city council, who has decided to give $51 million to a project that is going to, well, okay, let's back up right there. The city of Chicago said we're going to allocate $51 million to this migrant crisis. What that means is they're going to line the pockets of their supporters who happen to run businesses or nonprofits that supposedly help these migrants. Nothing, freaking not migrants, illegal immigrants. Sorry, criminal immigrants. Sometimes I get caught up in the language war myself. I've made a big stink about that. They're not migrants. Is somebody moving from Idaho to Montana or Nebraska to Florida. Illegal immigrants is what we call people that are entering the country illegally. Criminal immigrants is also a good term for that. And if we're getting to on the classification side here, I would categorize people who are exploiting a system that isn't supposed to work in a way that, well, a broken system. Exploiting a system that we have put ourselves in would also, I would call that criminal too. Anyways, listen to these Chicago residents talking to their city council. There is a fun little twist. They are upset that $51 million is going to migrants, but you'll be rolling on the floor with laughter when you find out where they think it should go instead. Watch this.
My name is Andre Smith, and I'm the CEO of an organization called Chicago Against Violence. I also stopped the migrant bus going to Wadsworth and was arrested with my friend Tyrone Muhammad. How dare this mayor and city council have the guts to give migrants $51 million. I demand you to have the same passion and urgency to pass the City of Chicago reparations ordinance, and also give us an office for Black Americans, just like the new Americans. We didn't have the luxury or the opportunity to cross the border. We didn't have the privilege to cross the border. We came over here being raped, stolen, beaten, chained in the bottom of ships. And you give migrants $51 million?
We can stop there. There's a little bit more that goes on to that. There's a lot of frustration among Chicago residents, and they speak out at city council meetings with their newly elected mayor. What is his name? Brandon Johnson, I think? Let's go, Brandon. But it is funny that that this particular guy is saying, we don't want $51 million going to illegal immigrants. He doesn't say illegal immigrants. I say illegal immigrants. We want it to go to us instead for reparations, because he said, well, we don't need to get into the reparations talk. Americans, thankfully, overwhelmingly are against reparations. Reason being, reparations to Black people just because they're Black. Again, I've said often, if you can prove, whatever race you are, but more specifically, minorities, Black people specifically, if you can prove that your family was specifically aggrieved by a government agency that is still in functioning today, and you can say, hey, look, the government in the 40s confiscated my grandparents' land. It was here. Now there's a shopping mall on it. You guys owe me. Yeah, fine. I'm all about that. The laws back then were unjust in specific instances. I don't really have a problem with that, I don't think. But just a blanket term, if you are Black, you get money, it's stupid to the point of hilarity. But I think that's hilarious what this guy's saying. He's saying one thing that I think a lot of Chicago residents agree with. Hey, why are we doing this with all of the illegal immigrants here? We're going to prioritize them over us. Yeah, I understand that sentiment. We should instead have a Black office, that this guy says, where we get reparations because we came over on slave ships. I'm like, all right. You go. Good luck tracing all that all the way back and finding any of that. It's not easily done, and by not easily done, I mean impossible. So, just kind of funny and interesting that that's the direction that a lot of people go with that. All right, let's talk about the debt ceiling. Debt ceiling passed the House. You want to hear that? Here's the 20 seconds of them crossing or passing the debt ceiling. Check it out.
Yeas are 314, the nays are 117. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
All right, that's it. Yesterday, the House of Representatives passed the debt ceiling compromise, 314 to 117. There were 71 Republicans voting against it, and I think 50 Democrats voting against it. I'm not entirely sure. I probably should have had that. Well, I don't know why I don't have my phone out, because I feel like that's easily accessible information. Yeah, so it was kind of going to pass. In a lot of ways, there's some people saying that this is the way legislation should work. You should have bipartisan support on both sides of it. That being said, I don't agree with any of that. I ranted for a really long time yesterday about debt and why it matters. So I am not a big fan of adding more debt. There it is. 71 Republicans and 46 Democrats voted no on the bill, which in a lot of ways I could see as a good thing. Now, having said that, senators like Rand Paul are saying that they are going to give it some hurdles in the Senate, because remember, if you remember from your Schoolhouse Rock days, bills have to pass through the House and then they have to pass through the Senate. Conservative Senator Rand Paul says he will force the Senate to vote this week on cutting total federal spending by 5% in each of the next 2 years, a proposal that could put popular programs such as Medicare and Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act under scrutiny. That is some editorializing by The Hill, which is where this piece is coming from. But Rand Paul says he's going to put an amendment on the table that is going to cut federal spending by 5% every year for the next 2 years. So 10%. It will not pass. It will not actually do anything. What he's going to try and do is get Republicans on the record. Because look, Rand Paul is trying to pull the party in his direction, in the fiscal sanity realm. He's trying to get Republicans on record saying that either yes or no, they're going to try to cut the federal spending by 10% over the next 2 years. I'm a big proponent of that. We need to do that. In terms of The Hill saying that it's going to come down to Medicaid, Medicare, and the Affordable Care Act is comical. You want to... I don't know if we should talk about this. The Affordable Care Act, just some quick numbers for you here. From 2013 to 2019, when the quote-unquote Affordable Care Act started to go into effect, in the 6 years between 2013 and 2019, healthcare plans on the individual market went up 129%, more than double. In that same time span, the large group employer-based health insurance went up by about 20%, effectively just doubling the individual healthcare market. Just so you also know, about 16 million Americans, just under 16 million Americans, according to the federal government, have applied for and are on a quote-unquote affordable health care plan, which is about 5% of the country. So effectively, healthcare has gotten more expensive, even double if you're buying healthcare on the individual market and you can't get it through your employer, in order for 5% of people to have worse healthcare. How does that? You want to talk about hits to affordable healthcare? Yeah, just cut the whole thing. There's this whole idea of repeal and replace. Repeal and replace. Donald Trump said it a lot. A lot of Republicans say it a lot. They've just repeal the stupid thing. It is more expensive and worse for everyone. And so when people like whoever wrote that article in The Hill saying the Affordable Health Care Act may be on the chopping block. First things first, it is a gesture, this Rand Paul amendment. It's not actually going to pass. It's not actually going to do anything. I like the gesture, and I would love for it to pass, but this is realistically not going to happen. And then so hypothetically, a non-realistic thing that isn't going to happen, having an effect on a horrible piece of legislation that has literally made things worse for everyone, saying that this terrible piece of legislation might be at risk. Good. Stupid argument all the way around. Anyways, where was I? Rand Paul told reporters on Tuesday that he would insist a vote on his amendment in exchange for yielding back time on the Senate floor. So in other words, he's going to filibuster. And make sure that vote is in the case or is going to work. Let's see. Anything in the comment section? Anything on ACA? I wonder if we should go deep on ACA. The only reason I know that and have those statistics at my fingertips is it is a chapter in a book I'm writing. So when they mentioned ACA in this Hill article, I was like, those people, those dumb, idiotic people. Anyways, so that's what's going on at the debt ceiling. It's still got to pass the Senate. It probably will. A lot of center-right and center-left Republicans and Democrats are probably going to get it through. And we're probably going to spend an extra $2 trillion. We will not go back to the previous spending before COVID. Why would we? Only a sane country would do that. And we are not a serious country filled with not serious adults. What else is new? I guess you get the government you deserve. Okay, moving on to this, because I think this is kind of fascinating, kind of interesting. This is, remember the movie What is a Woman? What is a Woman? Featuring Matt Walsh, a documentary. They call it a movie, but I'm pretty sure it's a documentary. Fascinating, by the way. Hugely impactful documentary, What is a Woman? With Matt Walsh. Kind of threw Matt Walsh into the big... I had heard about Matt Walsh and I had listened to him a little bit, but threw him into the spotlight, especially in politics. But according to Jeremy Boring, who's the CEO of Daily Wire, co-CEO, said this: Twitter canceled a deal with Real Daily Wire. Daily Wire, it's their Twitter thing, to premiere What is a Woman for free on the platform because of 2 instances of quote-unquote misgendering. I'm not kidding. Here's what happened. He goes into talking about the whole idea that they were going to put What is a Woman for free on Twitter for 24 hours at the start of Pride Month, which is this month. Pause, sidebar. I mentioned this at the beginning of the show a little bit. I think Pride Month as a whole is kind of going to go the way of like Black Friday. Where it used to be, when I was a kid, Black Friday was like, yeah, it's Black Friday. And then like in high school-ish, it was like, people are camping out for days to save $15 on a TV. And it was this huge thing. People getting pummeled at the doors when the stores opened. They would open on Thanksgiving. I was managing a Target for a Black Friday. What was that? That had to be 2013. And it was crazy. Yeah, we opened Thanksgiving at like 6 p.m. It was crazy. It was nuts. But it was a huge thing. And nowadays, like last Black Friday, does anybody remember Black Friday? It wasn't remarkable by any stretch of the imagination. Stores stayed closed until Black Friday, actually the day after Thanksgiving until like 6 a.m. That's when they opened. It was no longer a like, we open at noon on Thanksgiving for Black Friday deals. We camped out for 7 years. Dumb. You couldn't camp out for 7 years because it's an annual thing. Anyways, it kind of went away. And I think that's probably going to happen with Pride Month. And the reason I say that is because obviously there's a ton of backlash with Target, with Bud Light. And I think a lot of that has to do with the inclusion of trans, two-spirit, plus intersex, all of the stuff after the LGB part. Like the LGB, I think people, and by people I mean companies, are more than willing to jump on that bandwagon. If you're looking at monogamous lesbian gay relationships, I don't think there's the political appetite in this country to... It doesn't matter effectively. It's like, who cares? But because the TQIA plus two-spirit people have hitched their wagon to the LGBs, I've said this a bunch of times before, I think the enthusiasm for LGBTQ2 plus 6428 ZX4 month, I think the enthusiasm has gone down because of that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh no, it's still everywhere. Yeah, it's still going to be a lot of places. The gym that I go to, there's a big Happy Pride. Ah. It was up last month, which is stupid. But I was looking on Twitter today, and I looked at a bunch of like your big companies. Let's do one right now. Like somebody in the comment section, give me some companies to check out, and I'm curious to see if their Twitter accounts, if they still have them, are like. I'm just gonna look at Kohl's. Kohl's has Nothing on Pride Month. This is the first day of Pride Month. Well, they also haven't tweeted since 2022. So there's that. Let me see. BMW. Because one of the big mocking things that we used to do, BMW, let's see, they kind of have a rainbow-ish thing in their but it isn't so just in your face there. Somebody give me a company to look up. What company usually does this sort of stuff? Let's see. Ford. Ford's a good one. Let's see what Ford has on their Twitter. Ford Motor Company. There's nothing. So the Ford profile picture is just Ford. There's nothing on their thing. In other words, this used to be just a huge thing, and I think it's going away because of the teas, and I think because of the kids and the teas. I think that is a big cultural issue that I think a lot of companies are like, yeah, we're going to stay out of this lest we get Bud Lighted and targeted. And when I say targeted, I mean, Bath and Body Works. Let's check Bath and Body. That actually sounds like one that might. Bath and Body Works. Nothing on their thing. I mean, they've tweeted about it. Like the first tweet that pops up, it says, Happy Pride Month. Are you showing your support this year? Yada, yada, yada. And then they have a picture of what looks like some candles in the back of the store. But in terms of their thing, I know you can't really see that, but it's not everywhere all over their social media as it used to be. Again, I think most companies are probably pretty worried. So interesting. I think Pride Month is going to go the way of Black Friday craziness. Now we're just getting a bunch of... Well, I'm going to look up some of these while we play this video. All right, so back to this What is a Woman thing. Twitter canceled the release of What is a Woman for free because apparently this scene, quote unquote, misgendered someone. Now, this scene is Matt calls a guy who is, I think, in prison in Canada because he was trying to stop the Canadian government from giving his kid gender transitioning things, hormones, which is crazy. But this is the reason, supposedly, why Twitter is not going to allow What is a Woman to be viewed. Watch this.
How exactly did this get into the courts to begin with?
Right, so what happened is we set up a meeting with BC Children's Hospital. And according to the BC Children's Hospital website, there's going to be a thorough evaluation, and I'm thinking, good, this is going to be the end of it all. They're going to clearly see that my child is not the opposite sex. So my ex-wife brings my child into BC Children's Hospital. I get a call less than an hour into that appointment is that they were going to pump her full of cross-sex hormones within the hour. And I put a halt to that. I said, no. They agreed to stop for the moment. They figured, well, let's get the dad on board too. This is all going to be better. Let's just get everybody on the same page. I said, it's not going to happen. So I get a letter from BC Children's Hospital in December of 2018, and it says that under the BC Infants Act, they will start injecting my child with cross-sex hormones, and I have 2 weeks to respond with legal action if I so choose. And so that's how I ended up in court, because I did respond with legal action.
So you called your daughter a she, and you went to jail for that?
It's considered criminal violence to not use the preferred pronouns. It is no different than, let's say, I were to take a broomstick and whack one of my kids over the head. So they were treating it in a similar fashion, that mispronouncing my child was the equivalent of family violence.
Is she on the hormone pills now?
She is. The court ordered that she could do whatever she wanted.
Yeah, big fat yikes from that one. But anyways, misgendering apparently was the reason given to the Daily Wire CEO, and according to his Twitter, that was blocked. I'm curious to see if Elon Musk weighs in on this, but I guess we'll all see. In the meantime, during that video, I looked at some of the comments here and said to check out, let's see. KFC, looked up KFC, nothing on their Twitter page that says anything Pride related. CVS, nothing on their Twitter page. Allstate Insurance, nothing on their Twitter page. Which is which is interesting. Again, is it still going to be out there and around? Yes. I don't think anybody's arguing that or disputing that. But I think there is a lack of enthusiasm in the corporate world, at least to the levels as what it once was. Because remember, 3-4 years ago, Pride Month was like, you go onto a company's website, their Twitter page, and it was just everywhere. And now I just think it's I don't know, I think it's waning. Karen says, it was a good documentary. Yeah, it was. I would recommend you going and snagging that documentary. And Anne says, my pride colors are American flags, red, white, and blue. Yeah, there you go. Fun. That'll do it for us. There's a San Francisco story that, anybody remember that DA in San Francisco, a guy named Chesa Bodine? He was voted out. If you're not in the California area, you probably don't care about it, but he now has a new job, but who cares? That'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking in. We're kind of a little short today because, I don't know. In honor of Pride Month, let's just say that to appease, to check whatever boxes we need to check. Of course, I don't need to. I think I've made my stances on things pretty clear. I don't need to re-up that. But appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. Oh, wait, before we go, Franklin had a really good one. Let's just see. I'm curious what the Dodgers are doing. Nothing even tweeting. Now, the Dodgers, okay, I mentioned this yesterday. We'll get to that as when it comes around, but they invited this like insane group to participate in their Pride Night. A lot of people are not cool with that. But at least as of right now, the Dodgers do not have anything on their Twitter account / social media that would allude to quote unquote Pride Month, which is not a thing that would have been the case in the past. So, anyways. All right, that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media accounts. Just type in Jobob. You'll be able to find me there. And we will see you tomorrow. Same time, different place. We'll be in Phoenix. See you then. God bless America.